Avoid this mistake if you want clarity and peace of mind. Many of us fall into the trap of overthinking, believing that if we analyze every possibility, replay every scenario, or prepare for every outcome, we'll finally feel in control. But here's the truth. Overthinking does the opposite. It clouds our judgment, steals our joy, and leaves us feeling stuck. What if I told you there's a way to break free from this exhausting cycle? A timeless philosophy that offers clarity, resilience, and peace of mind, even in the most chaotic moments of life. This isn't just another self-help trick. It's a proven framework that has transformed lives for centuries. In this video, we'll uncover the wisdom of the Stoics and explore how their principles can help you overcome overthinking. From focusing on effort instead of outcomes to living fully in the present moment, these lessons aren't just theory. They're practical tools you can apply right now to create a calmer, more fulfilling life. Let's dive in. Number 1. Embrace rationality. Distinguishing between reality and distorted perceptions. Imagine this. You're sitting in your car, stuck in traffic, with the sun setting in a brilliant blaze of orange and pink. You take a deep breath, thinking about how beautiful life can be. But then, out of nowhere, your mind shifts to that email you sent earlier. Did I sound rude? Will they misunderstand me? What if it ruins my reputation? Suddenly that peaceful sunset becomes a blur, overtaken by a storm of anxiety. This is the reality for so many of us. Our thoughts spiral into an overdrive of distorted perceptions, fueled by what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. But let's take a step back for a moment. When was the last time these overthinking episodes actually matched reality? More often than not, our minds blow things out of proportion, creating stress where there is none. Think about when you were a teenager, maybe sitting in your high school cafeteria. You were so self-conscious about how you looked, the way you walked, or what you said. You thought everyone was judging you. But looking back now, wasn't everyone else just as consumed by their own insecurities? We laugh at those moments now because we see how irrational our fears were. Yet as adults, we continue to let distorted perceptions control us. Why do we do this? The answer lies in our evolutionary wiring. Our minds are designed to focus on threats and dangers to keep us safe. But in modern life, the dangers aren't tigers lurking in the jungle. They're emails, social media likes, and imagined slights. Here's where Stoicism steps in. The Stoics taught us to challenge these automatic reactions. They believed that emotions aren't inherently bad, but they need to be examined. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you feel overwhelmed by emotions, pause. Ask yourself, is this reaction based on facts or just my interpretation? By doing this, you can shift from reacting emotionally to responding rationally. Number 2. Detach from outcomes, focusing on effort, not results. Close your eyes and picture the last time you worked incredibly hard for something. Maybe it was a job interview, a presentation, or a creative project. You poured your heart and soul into it, hoping for the best result. And then, the outcome wasn't what you expected. Maybe you didn't get the job. Maybe the presentation fell flat. And that crushing disappointment left you questioning your worth. This happens to all of us. Society conditions us to tie our value to external achievements, the promotion, the perfect body, the accolades. We are taught that success equals worthiness. But what happens when success eludes us? Let me take you back to when I first started out. I was obsessed with outcomes. I measured my happiness and self-esteem by the results I achieved. But no matter how much I accomplished, it was never enough. The constant need to succeed left me exhausted and anxious. It wasn't until I discovered the Stoic idea of detaching from outcomes that I began to feel a sense of peace. The Stoics taught that we have control over our actions, but not the results of those actions. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." Think about a farmer planting seeds. The farmer can control how much care and effort they put into tending the soil, but they can't control the weather. If a storm destroys the crops, it doesn't mean the farmer failed. It means the outcome was beyond their control. When you focus on effort instead of results, something magical happens. You stop being paralyzed by fear of failure. You give yourself permission to try, to take risks, and to find joy in the process. Number 3. The power of effort. Control what you can. Let go of what you can't. Remember the first time you tried something new? Maybe it was riding a bike, learning an instrument, or attempting to cook your favorite dish. It wasn't perfect, was it? You probably fell, hit a wrong note, or burned the food. But you kept going. You focused on the effort, and eventually you got better. As adults, we lose this mindset. We become obsessed with perfection. We think, if I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all. And so we procrastinate, overthink, or quit before we even start. But here's a truth that's hard to swallow. Perfection doesn't exist. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed in focusing on what's within your control and letting go of the rest. Effort is always within your control. Outcomes are not. Imagine you're a sailor navigating the sea. You can control the sails, steer the ship, and make decisions based on the weather, but you can't control the wind or the waves. The Stoics would say, do your best to steer the ship, but accept that the sea will do what it will. Think back to a time when you gave your best effort and still didn't get the result you wanted. Maybe it was an exam you studied hard for but didn't pass, or a relationship you tried to save but couldn't. It hurts, doesn't it? But that pain is a reminder that effort is what defines you, not the outcome. When we embrace this philosophy, we stop being held hostage by fear of failure. We start to find meaning in the act of trying, because at the end of the day, what matters is not whether we succeed or fail, but that we showed up and gave it our all. Number 4. Process over product. Finding fulfillment in the journey. Picture this. You're hiking up a mountain trail. The air is crisp, the scent of pine fills your lungs, and you feel the crunch of gravel beneath your boots. You're focused on the summit, imagining the breathtaking view you'll see when you finally reach the top. But in that fixation, you miss the sunlight filtering through the trees, the wildflowers lining the path, and the soothing rhythm of your footsteps. This is how many of us live our lives, obsessed with the destination, so consumed by the product that we forget to enjoy the process. Now think about a time in your life when you worked tirelessly toward a goal. Perhaps you were saving up for a big purchase, training for a marathon, or trying to finish a major project. When you finally achieved it, how long did the joy last? A day, a week, maybe a month. And then, just like that, it was gone, replaced by a hunger for the next milestone. It's easy to see why. Society praises results, grades, salaries, titles, more than the effort it takes to get there. But what if the Stoics were right when they said that the true value lies in the process? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do every act of your life as though it were the last act of your life." That's not about being morbid, it's about being present. When you shift your focus from the product to the process, you start to notice the details that make life rich and meaningful. Consider an artist painting a masterpiece. While the finished canvas is beautiful, the magic happens during the process, the mixing of colors, the brushstrokes, the quiet hours of creation. The journey itself becomes the reward. In your own life, What would happen if you stopped obsessing over the outcome and started appreciating the effort? Instead of stressing about your promotion, could you find joy in mastering new skills? Instead of worrying about the perfect body, could you celebrate the strength and energy gained from daily movement? Number 5. Resilience in failure. Building strength by letting go of outcomes. Now, let's shift to a moment we all dread: failure. Maybe it was a project that didn't go as planned, a job you didn't get, or a relationship that ended despite your best efforts. Think back to how it felt, like the world was closing in, your self-worth plummeting as you questioned everything. Failure stings, it leaves scars, but it's also universal. Even the most successful people, those we admire, have failed, often spectacularly. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Yet when it's our turn, we treat failure as a personal indictment. Why? Because we've tied our value to outcomes. When we fall short, it feels like we're not enough. The Stoics had a different perspective. They saw failure not as an end, but as a teacher. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Every failure is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to build resilience. Think about when you first learned to ride a bike. You fell, maybe scraped your knees or shed a few tears, but you got back up. Why? Because you believed the effort was worth it. As kids, we embraced failure as part of the process. As adults, we fear it, forgetting that each setback makes us stronger. Imagine a world where you could approach failure with curiosity instead of dread, where each misstep was simply a stepping stone to something greater. The only way to build resilience is to detach from outcomes and focus on what you can learn. Number 6. Living in the present, the key to reducing stress and anxiety. Imagine this. It's a quiet evening. You're sipping your favorite drink, maybe coffee or tea, and a gentle breeze brushes your face. It should be a peaceful moment, but instead, your mind is racing. You're replaying an awkward conversation from earlier. You're worrying about an upcoming deadline. You're anywhere but in the present. How often does this happen to you? You're physically here, but your mind is trapped in the past or the future. It's exhausting, isn't it? Think back to a simpler time. Maybe you were a child, playing in the backyard, completely absorbed in the moment. You weren't worried about tomorrow or hung up on yesterday. You were just there. As we grow older, we lose that sense of presence. Life becomes a blur of responsibilities, deadlines, and distractions. We overthink, analyzing every mistake and fearing every uncertainty. But the Stoics remind us, the past is gone, the future is uncertain, and the only moment we truly have is now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." This isn't just philosophical, it's practical. When you anchor yourself in the present moment, you break free from the cycle of overthinking. You start to notice the little things, the warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter, the feeling of gratitude. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the past or future. It means recognizing that they're beyond your control. The past is a memory, the future a possibility. But the present? That's real, and it's where life happens. Imagine waking up tomorrow and deciding to live fully in the moment, to let go of the regrets that hold you back and the worries that weigh you down. What would that feel like? Number 7. The Stoic path to clarity, applying wisdom to overcome. Overthinking. Picture yourself staring at a blank screen late at night, your thoughts racing. A simple decision, what to say, what to do, spirals into an endless loop of what-ifs and should-haves. You're exhausted, yet sleep feels impossible. This is the cycle of overthinking, a modern plague that robs us of clarity and peace. Now let's pause. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a life where your mind feels light and focused, where you approach each challenge with confidence, unburdened by doubt or fear. Doesn't that sound liberating? Overthinking often stems from our desire to control the uncontrollable. We analyze, strategize, and worry in the hope that we can predict every outcome, avoid every mistake, and protect ourselves from uncertainty. But life doesn't work that way, does it? The Stoics understood this long ago. They believed that peace comes not from trying to control everything, but from learning to control ourselves. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Think about a time in your life when overthinking paralyzed you. Maybe it was before a big interview or after a difficult conversation. You replayed the scenarios in your mind, scrutinizing every detail. Did all that analysis help, or did it leave you more confused? Now imagine approaching the same situation with a Stoic mindset. Instead of spiraling into what you can't control, you focus on what you can: your attitude, your actions, and your effort. Suddenly, the noise quiets. You feel clear, capable, and calm. Overcoming overthinking doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means breaking free from the illusion that you can solve them all in your head. Here's an analogy. Picture a muddy pond. The more you stir the water, the murkier it becomes. But if you leave it undisturbed, the mud settles and the water clears. Your mind works the same way. As we wrap up this journey through the timeless wisdom of the Stoics, remember this: life will always be unpredictable, filled with challenges and uncertainties. But the real power lies in how you respond. By applying these principles, focusing on effort, embracing the present, and letting go of what you can't control, you can break free from the chains of overthinking and create a life that's rich in purpose and peace. Drop a 100 if you've watched this far, because it shows you're among the rare 0.01% who finish what they start. If you're serious about transforming your life and unlocking your potential, join our community by subscribing to the channel. Together, we'll continue exploring ideas that empower and inspire.